Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to our MW2 CCL launch tournament. We are continuing the action, of course. Just got done with a great first round, and well, we'll be continuing to see exactly how the Saints are going to fare as they're going to be going up against Northwood here, Andy.
Yeah, obviously, slight commiserations there to UTC, but they do have that golden mushroom, that extra life of the lower bracket. But hey, man, these St. Clair Saints are the real deal. They have the bounce back, the teamwork, the gun skill. It's all there, but it can only be boasted so much when you're going up against our Vanguard champions of Northwood.
Certainly the case, and well, we will take a look at how everything did play out there for us. Of course, in the winners semis matches, we did have the 3-1 that we just got off board with there in the previous series, and then we had Northwood University, I believe, take out Arizona State, looks like 3-0. So they are now moving on to the winners finals, and this is obviously huge for a number of reasons, Andy. If you can make it to the grand finals, to the upper bracket, you got that second best of 5 for yourself going in towards day 2.
Yeah, good safety net, isn't it?
Sure is.
Knowing that at least you have the safety net of that second best of 5. Obviously a little bit more difficult when you're looking at it from the lower side. Not only do you have to beat potentially Northwood or St. Clair in a single best of 5, but you're going to have to do it a second time as we take a look at the lower bracket. So a lot of teams left alive. DePaul waiting for their next adversary, taking down SIUE 3-0. That's a pretty big one. UTC obviously still having a lot more time left in their day. Same to be said for the Sun Devils out of ASU, but Full Sail, Dakota State, VCU versus Mars Hill. Shout out Jamie Megatron for putting that team together. Texas A&M and International and Mississippi State all left to play their games to continue on to lower round 5.
Yeah, that certainly will be the case here for us. And, well, making it through the lower bracket, not going to be easy. Still a lot of great teams that are alive and well down there trying to keep themselves alive. But as we take a look and zone in on this matchup, we'll see exactly what the map set is looking like here, Andy. And overall, we got to kind of, splurge on a little bit of some maps that we haven't got to see in Crown Raceway. Won't be able to get that one until map number 5. And that, of course, would be Search and Destroy. But we'll kick things off on El Braca Fortress. Then we'll move over to Embassy Search and Destroy. We'll have the Hotel for map number 3. And then we'll go to another dose of Embassy there on the hard point for map number 4.
Prado looking a little different there at the end. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of...
Yeah, right, it is. I was like, I didn't think there was a Crown Raceway in the second tier because I would have gotten hyped, but yeah, it is
a little bit more
different.
Color there for Mercado. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it is a market at the end of the day, but yeah, I mean, we get back to Fortress map number 1, Hardpoint. St. Clair are just coming off of a map 4 win here versus UTC, where they were down by about 40 points. If you're just now joining us, here is your cliff notes for that entire affair, that they were down by about 40 points, being outslayed heavily. Priestley comes alive, and they completely just beat the brakes off of UTC at the end of the second set of hard points. They got about 120 points, more or less, inside of P5 specifically, and another full 60 over inside of P3. Their triple AR setup is something that Northwood absolutely have to be on the lookout for.
Certainly. I think it's also important to note that, St. Clair are able to win, without Bendy as well. Blaze coming in, subbing in at least on the day. Not sure if we'll see Bendy tomorrow or not, but the fact that they're still able to keep up the pressure that they had and do what they were doing, I thought was extremely impressive. And something that the St. Clair team at least was really good at was their coordination in the respawn. So we'll see if Northwood, is going to be on top of that, because you feel like their teamwork and their comms and when they're coordinating their hits to try to break some of the setups that the Saints are going to have intact. I think those are going to be, some of the keys to see if they're going to have what it takes to take down this team, at least that is looking really good, especially in the final moments of hard points, really keeping calm and knowing, what their win condition is and playing to it.
Yeah, everything that I just got done talking about with the St. Clair Saints, love those guys. It was fantastic to meet them all in Columbus during the CCL Vanguard LAN that we had at the end of last season. But there's a reason why we got to talk about Northwood. We have to talk about Northwood University. It is your Vanguard champions at the end of the day. Infinite Bink, if you have been living underneath a rock and you haven't been watching any Tier 2 or Challengers content, then I'll let you know that these two individuals, when it comes down to Search and Destroy and Respawn, with all the Warzone they were also playing through the Collegiate Warzone play with Thugger, have been absolutely lights out. Their teamwork, like you were talking about, has been bar none fantastic. They are now joined with Dak on this roster. Of course, the roster was filled out with Chris Radial and Fame at the end of the Vanguard year. They're moving on to different things to be playing for themselves. So it's K-Tob and Dak that is going to be playing with this roster. And Dak is another one of those upcoming players. Really comes from a limelight of the Search and Destroy scene, but is absolutely nutty when it comes down to the respawns as well.
That's definitely the case. I mean, you know how much I love the search and destroy scene. So whenever I get to see these guys kind of play out in S&D, man, and at least show us and teach us, maybe what they've learned or come up with, or different kind of clutch spots or whatever it might be, it's always an absolute treat. But as you mentioned here, I mean, a really experienced team that is used to playing under a lot of pressure. Whatever you kind of come from the challenger scene and you've been able to get, some of those top 8s, top 16s. Bink was certainly up there when we were watching over, Cold War early days, MW 2019. That was certainly a factor as well. And, that experience and that leadership and going through what they did last year, I mean, it really does play a factor here. So we'll see if they can do it. Of course, this is the winners final, so it is an absolute crucial match to try to set yourself up for Championship Sunday. You want to be able to have yourself in the best possible position and then just kind of watch over the rest of the entire tournament to see who else is maybe posing a threat. But now we got our map set in here. Of course, it won't be Crown Raceway in the end. It is Mercado now, Andy.
That is, in fact, Mercado Las Almas. I see it on the sign right there. I've read the sign. I saw the sign and it opened up my eyes. That map number 5. It does go the distance, right? I mean, Mercado, as far as search and destroy, can be a head scratcher for a lot of teams, specifically for that AS&D. But without getting too far ahead of ourselves, there is a lot of, again, flexibility. We're going to be saying that word a lot, I'm sure, both you and I included, when it comes down to challengers and collegiate action through this year, Austin. The flex players can really make or break these first 2 maps. We saw it on Fortress, specifically from the St. Clair Saints. That one sub can run amok in the hands of Brandon, but also, that M4 in the hands of Priestley can really do or die, whether they're hitting tons of different flanks and timings as well. I wonder what the setup is actually going to be looking like for Northwood. I'm more than certain and pretty damn confident in saying that we'll probably see Dak running this up.
Yeah, I think that could be the case. I also love that you brought up Priestley because, I mean, he just came off of a heater of a series, especially through map 1 and map 2. What was it, 13 kills, I think, in the S&D with like 1,700 damage, which is just absurd. And obviously was putting up some big Slayer numbers in the very first map on Hotel. So I think he has to be kind of, on that same form, if not better, when you're going up against some of the ARs, like Bank, who are going to be, basically your rival the entire map through. So those are really going to be some key gunfights that are going to have to come in for him. And while the performance is almost necessary over again, and Cardinal deserves a pretty big shout as well, because that man was collecting time like it was just no one's business while still finding, a lot of kills with a pretty solid positive KD. So if you can get your ARs, I think, firing on all cylinders and playing up to that standard that we saw in the last series, then, they might be able to get themselves in a really good position here throughout this best of 5 in the winners final.
Yeah, also needs to be talked about again, just to talk a little bit more about St. Clair. We almost have a full lobby for you all. Thank you for joining us and waiting for this winners finals to get started. But again, we got to talk about Realize, right? I mean, Realize is that LATAM pickup here for the Saints in St. Clair, and we got to see them pop off as well from their Twitter feed after winning 3-1 versus UTC. They were very, very hyped, to say the least. But now you got to be able to compose yourself a little bit here. This matchup will probably be the biggest test for St. Clair, maybe even outside of scrims. They'll probably have all weekend long. And this is where a lot of that practice and a lot of that time that you've really put aside to really understand how deep your bag of tricks can honestly go. You're going to need to pull out all the stops versus Northwood roster, which again has a long-lasting duo. I mean, just in the ballpark, I mean, Bink and Infinite have probably been playing Search and Destroy wagers together for what feels like about 6, maybe 7, probably more years than that as well. You're really going to need all of the bag of tricks to really take away this series versus Northwood.
Yeah, that's going to be the big factor here for us. Can they do it? We'll have to see. As, again, like you said, players just loading up, getting ready. I'm sure, St. Clair just want a second little breather before jumping into their next series, trying to get warmed up, trying to get ready, because, like you said, this is just going to be a massive test for them to see if they have what it takes to take down what would be one of the favorites, in this CCL launch open. But I got to say, Andy, it feels really good to just be back, casting some collegiate Call of Duty, just getting back into, the roots of it and just seeing exactly what teams and what players are performing and who's picking up MW2 the fastest. And I mean, we've only got to see a handful of matches at least so far, but we are certainly getting spoiled, at least with the initial series that we got off the bat.
Yeah, we've only gotten 4 maps, 1 series, but it absolutely delivered. I don't know how you wouldn't be entertained just watching at least those 2 colleges go at it. And now you get to see more top 3 action. It is great to always come back through these kickoff tournaments to be able to see, like you were talking about, where teams do currently stand. It gives them a lot of good early VOD to be looking looking at future collegiate tournaments in that ever so looked at spring season just right around the corners of winter for a lot of these colleges to be competing in, to maybe try to fill out the roster a little bit better, maybe try to find out a lot more strategies while also getting some scrim time, as well as the Discord is also always popping off with CCL 8s almost every single night as well. So this is just the wee beginnings of what we're seeing from these collegiate athletes and maybe a potential look at their skill ceilings.
Yeah, we always like to see where it's going to land, how it's going to end up playing out here for us. But overall, it's also a really big shout out over towards the Navy. Want to give these guys a really big thank you for being one of our big sponsors here for this launch open. Would not be possible without those guys. And if you're looking for some more information, make sure you guys do head over there so that you can see all kinds of different career paths that you're looking to try to pursue. I mean, even if you're in college, they have all kinds of different things that you can kind of potentially look at. Even I think you can be on the ship while taking classes and things like this. So if you're interested, make sure you guys go check out America's Navy. There could very well be a career path there for you. But moving back into the swing of things here, as our players love to take their time. But Andy, any predictions you feel like coming into this initial matchup here? I'm gonna absolutely lay it on you.
Oh, come on, man. You know I hate
Laying
doing predictions. I never give predictions. I don't care who you are. I never do predictions, but this is probably for the main reason. I think that St. Clair, I think that they're going to get a certain eye-opening here. Their road through this best of 5 series is not going to be an easy one. I would be surprised if they actually end up taking a map. If they do, it would probably be the Fortress Hardpoint just off of recency of what I got to see. But I got Northwood taking this 3-1 100%.
Ooh, all right. I like you right there. We'll see if it ends up coming in. Players are taking a little bit to get started here. We do apologize, guys, but we'll take just a small reprieve when we come back. We got our winners finals coming up. We are finally back, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate your patience. Now it's time to kick off our winners finals. St. Clair. Northwood. Let's jump into it, Andy.
Yep, Timberwolves going up against the Saints, and it will be Northwood starting off on that P3 side, and this is what it looks like starting off on this side. I mean, Dak is already through the double doors, is already trying to influence spawns for P2, and while their teammates are coming up all aces across the P1 side.
So far, so good. Inside the point now will be Northwood. Just need to try to hold on, and well, it's a pretty defensive kind of zoning over by P2 very early on for the Saints. One player going to kind of cut through mid and see if they can maybe attack this scrap time, but Dak is going to be pretty safe on the heady up until the point where Priestley comes in from behind, but off screen now, gunfight's about to start to take place, and they don't realize that Infinite has got to the back, and he's just cleaned up too. What a huge moment, and what a flip of the spawns.
Yeah, he waited. Infinite 100% waited for the hit to come through from the Saints across P1. And once Infinite was already into the backside of the up steps, he just completely pushes through, catches 2, and towards the backside of the stage, and that's going to be the break plus the spawns completely flipping out. Now, K-Top does spawn a little bit further out, so it allows Brandon to kind of work an avenue, a flank, if you will, towards the backside of the spawn.
Brandon trying to find some long-range shots there. M4 will get the best of them. Now through the side of Tunnel will be Priestley, who's able to get one back. 21 against 42, 30 seconds to play for here. Infinite on 3 in a row. Can he continue to keep this spree alive? Oh, it's going to be a wallbang. I think that might have came through underneath, and that will clean him up. Now it's St. Clair that do have a bit of control, but we start to look towards B3.
This is where they can really start to get really, really heavy as far as the slays are concerned for Northwood. Look at their setup ahead of the rotation. They're completely fine with giving up the lead, conceding the space, knowing that P3 can become a money hill. You got Bink playing themselves in a position over by P1, get some help. We'll be able to take down at least Priestley, but we'll convey to their team that there are 2 players trying to infiltrate this P3 area through the double doors.
Realize trying to work some nasty angles here to try to set up the break. St. Clair were good on it last time around. We watched them, and they have been able to get themselves in. Now it's just a matter of winning gunfights with some of the high ground they've been able to get for themselves. Nades raiding over. Infinite just trying to lay down, dodging, bobbing and weaving, but it's not enough. Priestley realize they'll find it, and St. Clair do it again.
Yeah, fantastic break coming through. Brandon, double positive 8 and 4. Priestley, double positive 6 and 3. That setup in that break was all through maps. They get that building in their control, and they fully break on in. This dominable setup is mostly all hinging off of Blaze's position inside of the stables. A nice nade from Dak will end up taking them out from that position, but we're down to 15 seconds. If you're Northwood, you don't hit this one more time. You post up inside maps. You find yourself rotational gunfights, knowing damn well that you have this closer spawns in the setup ahead of 4.
Wow, what a big moment. One we might look back on. if the Saints can close out this map, but we're still a long ways from that. Now coming up with our next hill. We'll see exactly what Infinite's going to be able to do, and it's most important to try not to get pinned back here after collecting the majority of the points. And, well, so far, it looks like there has been a couple of kills, but starting to make their way out to the middle of the map will be the Saints, and now it's starting to inch closer and closer, everyone looking to try to flood through P2.
Oh, Dak on 6. He's going to get themselves that precision airstrike, just one more kill away from getting themselves an SAE. K-Top inside the hardpoint might actually need some help, and well, Dak is up top, keep in mind you, just trying to find that last kill, it will be secured. So SAE in the back pocket here for Northwood, setting themselves up quite wonderfully here for the back 20.
This has been great so far. Now coming in though, Dak 8 in a row. Oh my goodness, he has not been traded out. Infinite's able to clean up 2 more, and it looks like the Saints are going to have to completely concede this push. So basically able to get a full 60, match it with a bit of a full 60 as well here, and it will result in Northwood Esports just edging out with a slight lead.
Infinite just so annoying, being that one submachine gun for the Timberwolves of Northwood's going to pop dead silence on a 5 spree, the potential to double up for some streaks. He knows that there's one player back here will pounce. There's kill number 6 in a row, just missing the mark slightly for some streaks. Kill number 7 must be a UI bug, because I know that 7 kills damn well means that this boy has himself an SAE, gets that side mantle, a little awkward, but will be able to win the gunfight. But even the rotation going in towards P5, you remember in that first series that we casted versus UTC, this is where St. Clair got the majority of their time. They're set up wonderfully here at Forge.
Yeah, they really did have a solid setup, but they will be kind of overwhelmed right through the middle of the map here, potentially. But Priestley trying to get a read on the second challenge. Somehow able to at least still play his life, but the nade's going to weaken him up, soften him up for an easy gunfight. And now just trying to see if you can keep that remaining 15 seconds
toesies.
neutral on Anvil. But yeah, watch out for the toes. Brandon's looking for him. However, nice little bait and switch comes through. Unfortunate Mansell follows. And that's going to be a pretty clean feed to set up around P1 here for the side of Northwood Esports.
Yeah, but a solid bounce back through that first set of hardpoints, wasn't it, for the Saints? Because Northwood were really threatening not only the rotation from P1 to P2, getting themselves a majority of that time between P1 and P2, but it was that break into P3 and then the contest for P4 with a boasting P5. And Saints will have themselves just a small lead, starting to dwindle now as Northwood have themselves a setup. Split spawns have completely occurred because Northwood pushed up inside of Art, but even more so than that, are they completely aware that Realize is still over here and the pinch is on?
Here we go. Brandon over the top. He's might have found an angle to try to get through and behind. And, well, the double team push will be good for the initial break. Still plenty of time to fight for around P1. But you can see both teams already trying to get some early kind of access over to this P2 in the back here. Want to lock down this side of the map, and Northwood Esports have done exactly that. But are they going to be able to find every single member? While this time goes over, St. Clair will give themselves, again, a marginal lead. But Priestley, he's been able to get help from Realize, and they'll be able to get themselves set up first.
Oh, Dak loses a crucial 1v1 versus Brandon over by the double stairs. Now everything is hindering for Infinite and Bink to stay alive, but Priestley hits it because of course he does. He knows that there's still players located on the backside of Art, and Priestley will find both of those kills. Wonderful break early on here for P2 as St. Clair build their lead past 20.
Beautifully done. Will actually be a 1-for-1 as it starts to ring through over and over again. Plays now just going to kind of lay on the trigger, a little bit aggressive, and he'll be punished for the play. So beautiful discipline, but will it be recovered from Priestley? 3 in a row. He's just been on a tear. 15 kills to his name. He is just pumping out damage, and the nade finally over the top is going to deal with him. But Realize still watching the cross tight in the corner. Brandon with the team shots is good, and now you can see it. Northwood might just concede this remaining time, and St. Clair, Andy, they're running away with a bit of a lead.
They're going to be up to 200 points or so. This is where the Saints can get rather deadly. Brandon will be gunned off of that 4 spree, so no streaks will be accrued. Dak also looking to be an absolute nuisance, playing for the end and exit kills. This will keep St. Clair honest when this new hill does pop. It'll be the Timberwolves in here first and foremost. I'm sure they're going to put a hefty focus in towards maps. This is where Saints really focused the flood last time to break this hardpoint.
They've been so good at setting up these breaks. Little dolphin dive across there, trying to scout out some info. Blaze has just found the first one. This could ignite everything. Dak up top. He needs to get some work done. He'll find the first one. Uncontested. Down low now. They try to flood through, and looks like the Timberwolves have done a much better job. They'll clear out every single member, and they'll defend the first push.
Yep, all focus in towards maps. Again, this top map position that Infinite's playing at is exactly where the Saints are trying to abuse. They want this high ground position to couple that along through the double doors, and it looks like they're finally starting to get it. Dak is going to be peeled off of that staircase head glitch and be completely overwhelmed on a 5 spree. A break comes through, albeit late, The Saints will put themselves just at about 215 or so, with this rotation going over towards P4, where Brandon pops dead silence, just trying to be a nuisance as Northwood are trying to set themselves up for the rotation.
That was a really big moment for Brandon there. He's kind of a huge part of making sure his team doesn't really get trapped into P3 entirely. They have to deal with him. He draws resources, and, well, he's still doing it. Able to play his life. Up top now, trying to find some kills. They seem to have lost track of him, but he can't finish off Dak, and that means that Bink and second will find the kills. Now everything coming together for Northwood as they chain the last kill. They're chaining this one, Andy, and this could be huge. St. Clair need to find a break.
And look at the wrap that's starting to manifest itself, though. Brandon's all the way in towards the backside of Arden. I don't think that anybody is directly looking at this. Yeah, just in the contest spot was Infinite behind that first cannon. And Brandon is feasting over by the double stairs. He'll find a two-piece. That's the break-in for the Saints.
That's the break. They're in for now, and a lead change is going to follow. St. Clair, they're going to give up a little bit of that cushion they built up for themselves late into the game, and now Northwood are also looking for the remaining 10 seconds. And this is going to be massive, but we're going to the hill that they have been just about best at. St. Clair now need to be perfect around this P5 point.
Yeah, but Dak still has the SAE. He's on a 4 spree, 27 and 15. Look for the ping, maybe for the SAE to drop. And you can see that the Saints are all setting themselves up in the map's balcony, trying to get themselves some refuge here on the bottom side of this building. But the crossfires are that much better. Just 13 points remain.
Oh, sprees galore. It's 6 in a row for Dak. One final push here for the Saints. And, well, everybody has been cleaned up. That is going to be the game. Another barn burner to kick it off. But it's Northwood that chained the last 3 hills beautifully to take the first map of the set.
It's just their crossfires, isn't it? I mean, this is what you almost expect. You know, no shade to the Saints out of St. Clair. It's just one of those things, again, that we constantly talk about with this Northwood roster. I mean, Bink and Infinite have been a long-lasting duo for God knows how long at this point in time. And then you bring in Dak, who goes 29 and 15, doubles up with their sprees themselves. That ace spree was so influential in the success of Northwood. Not only just the first one, but also that 6th spree that we saw at the end. Dak with the M4 in hand was never the first point of aggression, was always setting themselves up for that crossfire, to couple that along with Infinite, with the Vaznev in hand, just poking and prodding up close, and then Dak just kind of moves their way over towards the side angle and just finds themselves that 2-piece, that 3-piece that always keeps those hard points in contention for Northwood, and that's where they really started to snowball with it in the first set of hard points, and there, as you were saying, in the final 3 hard points.
Absolutely, and I mean, we're just starting to see just how much of a double-edged sword this P3 hill can be, right? Like, if you dump too many pushes or too many resources into it, and then all of a sudden you flip out spawns, and Northwood gets like that fast track to say, hey, listen, they're still flooding, let's just run to new and flip out the spawns. I mean, you're always putting yourself in an advantageous position to come out with the majority of the time when you're making moves like that there. So the Timberwolves really on top of what they needed to do, and I mean, those last 3 hills were basically all in their control. So can't say enough good things, but I mean, hey, listen, that was a very winnable map there for St. Clair. They were up a good chunk of time after going through that second set of rotations there, but it was just really coming down to the end, and you can see it here on the scoreboard. Big kills coming through for Dak, 29 kills, as you mentioned there, Andy, right behind him, 22 for Bink, and, you know, we've seen this team at least match a lot more of the slaying power this time around here against St. Clair.
Yeah, you know, and it's something to really talk about, the uncharacteristic nature that is even Priestley. Look, this is technically one of your main slayers. I know that Brandon did go 22 and 21 with 15 non-traded kills. That is fantastic to see, but Priestley not putting up the same numbers with the M4 in hand comparatively to even Dak or Bink. We know that the M4 is strong. Well, we'll use that word. It's strong, right, Austin? And you want to make sure that at least your AR flex with that M4 that is being a lot more lucrative through the entirety of the map can produce a whole lot more kill potential to create more space when it comes down to these rotations. But you're right. I mean, Saints, look, they had themselves about like a 35, almost 38-point lead at one point throughout the entirety of this game. But it's Fortress at the end of the day. One good hard point, one good break is all you need, and that lead can get flipped on its head.
It certainly can. We'll take a look at the map set here. 250 to 216 if you missed map number 1 there on Fortress. But now we'll move back over to Embassy. And, well, we got to see Embassy at least play out here for us the first time around, and the Saints did also play it. So, you know, coming into this second map, I'm wondering, you know, if we're going to get anything different whatsoever, because it just felt like it was all about brute force, throw a smoke maybe here and there, make sure we don't cross, try to fake them out a little bit. But, you know, I feel like you have to find an answer for this push that you're seeing right on your screen right here. That's exactly where the bomb site's located, right behind the palm tree. You know, will we get an answer for this? Because it felt like there were a lot of offensive rounds kind of being won when we were watching the last set there.
Yeah, I mean, some quick spark notes coming away from that very small sample size that we have of 11 rounds in our first matchup between UTC and St. Clair. Throughout all 11 rounds, we only saw a single plant happen over at A, and that's just because Priestley had double streaks, and they used both of them just to be able to push that streak off of the first blood in a 4v3 fashion. But I think you're very right. You know, you talk about the exploits that could honestly come through from that smoke that we did see St. Clair throw every single time over by the palm tree cross, so that way they didn't get sniped by Sunny, who was playing over by that A ramp. So long as those smokes are being utilized, we saw even Red Chase have the slightest inkling to understand, hey, I can take a Vaznev and I can get right in their face over by this palm tree. I can get Toilet's window in my favor. And then I could possibly end up walking away with a 2-piece, if not a 3-piece, if I can get upstairs with Dead Silence. This team of Northwood will be looking for those exploits plus some more, I'm sure, that we did not even see in those round 11 play.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure. And I mean, I know we keep kind of calling back on Priestley, but there's a reason he dropped 13, you know, on this map last time around with 1,700 damage. He doesn't put up the same numbers, you know, in the first map compared to what he did on Hotel and Hardpoint. But, I mean, if you can get just any kind of a similar performance out of him, I mean, that would be huge. But that could also be, you know, kind of a huge moment for the opposing team here, Northwood, to pull out a sniper and say, listen, we know Priestley likes to play up top on the windows. We know he likes to play on their side of the map on offense. Let's see if we can maybe work him a little bit more, because in fairness, Sunny was kind of always playing the A lane with the sniper rifle and then would rotate over as we would kind of play into the round here. So you have to wonder if either St. Clair is going to try to maybe mess around with the scope themselves this time around, or if they're going to have, you know, any kind of an answer if they are trying to kind of match Priestley up top on AC and go for those initial snipes off the bat.
Well, it's going to be interesting because, I mean, so far, at least through the now 5 maps that we have seen here in the college COD Modern Warfare 2 launch open, is that it seems that we're actually respecting the GAs here for North America. And, you know, Crone CDL Intel also tweeted out not too long ago the 1.1 version of the GAs. And, so, you know, snipers are actually allowed here in North America. I believe it's only Europe so far that have them fully GA'd away, so long as they don't have any attachments on the sniper rifle. So it's totally in play here. I think maybe we saw St. Clair break out a sniper rifle one round. It didn't work because of the high value that we were talking about with Sunny finding with the boomstick in hand for Chattanooga. But then you have to shift that focus over towards Northwood, you know, specifically in the hands. Think Infinite, long history of picking up boomsticks and finding value with it.
Sure.
That could also be right there as well. The possibilities are endless when it comes down to these A players.
They sure are. But smoke's out, just like we see in most initial rounds here. A little pre-fire from Infinite, but the nade's actually going to put them in a pretty tough spot, but Bink over the top is just going to be able to lock down the kills, and Brandon's going to fly out. Sure, he gets the kill and stops the plant, but doesn't matter. Quick round here off the bat. Northwood take it.
And that's what a plethora of time looks like on Embassy Search and Destroy. Right there. You know, you just fly out over by the half wall. You know exactly where these guys are located at. Hey, maybe there's one top AC, dead. Hey, maybe there's one contesting out from Orange. Oh, I have that cross as well. Yeah, Northwood just putting on an absolute clinic to make sure that they know all of these day one positions that St. Clair kind of offered them in that opening defense.
Very quick. Bink with 3-0. Start to kind of kick this one off, and, well, we saw how valuable the SAE is if you can get it. Pings every single round for yourself to get information on the initial setup. But aggression. This time, defensively for Infinite. He's got a great position. A little dolphin time comes right past his screen. Brandon does get the trade, but numbers still dwindling. But Brandon, how does he get that second? He takes out Bink, and we go into the 2 versus 2.
This is what you needed if you are Brandon. Productivity with an SMG in hand. Getting aggressive. Keeping the pace alive. Dak, K-Tob, isolated from one another. I mean, Dak has that boomstick in hand. Top AC. Saw one player in the top window, but it's Brandon for the 3rd in the round.
Brandon's just doing it all right now, Andy. K-Top, the last one. Oh, no way does Brandon... How does he get out of that? Able to finesse his life and still get this bomb down. Are you kidding me? And you can see it there. K-Top going to have to completely reposition here, as he's going to have Dead Silence. Still very much doable.
Yeah, but I love this coming out from Priestley and Brandon. I mean, they're not necessarily playing on top of each other. Priestley is going to be up top AC, and then Brandon's going to be playing in that position on the back alley side. This is a very difficult task for K-Top as their Dead Silence runs out.
Shot's going to be taken there, and, well, we're going to know just about where he is. Nice little peek around the corner, and, well, We'll say thanks to Brandon for that one there, as he just does some ridiculous things to not only find the two-piece off the start, but also make sure he plays his life and still gets that bomb down.
Brandon with the ace. I mean, things you absolutely love to see if you are a fan of the St. Clair camp. As Brandon just completely just hits through the middle of the map, the Vaznev just absolutely melting everybody that Brandon ran into, seemingly. That 4-player streak. He's the only one with kills on his team. I mean, hey, you know, it was Priestley in the first match that we had versus Chattanooga, and might as well be Brandon this time around, but I'm sure that Northwood might be wise coming through those upcoming rounds to stun through the middle of the map.
Last offense that came through for Northwood was very quick, and it looks like they have been able to make themselves across to the site with the bomb, but we'll see exactly what happens defensively in Blaze. Has been able to find Infinite, key player to remove. That's going to be now bombed down right behind the site here, and you still got great positioning, and Realize with the scope has now found a second.
Brandon up top, keeping the streak alive, 5 in a row. Bink up in top PD window will at least find a trade. Has to get the entire ace themselves if Northwood want to take a 2-1 lead. Realize is just going to play in that 1-for-1 position outside, but Bink reads it, actually snaps on the headshot. There's a lot of time left to make this play happen in this round here, Austin. Bink's going to pop dead silence, but has to work their way over towards the BS&D where the bomb is patty caked on the ground.
Would be a 1v4. Kind of like the setup right now. Both players kind of just looking for point of contact here, but we'll see what Bink's going to be able to do. I think he's maybe heard one up top for sure. Brandon gives him his head, but Bink doesn't find the full shots, and now he runs through the door. He has time. Oh my goodness! Bink has just found the head of Brandon, rips him off the heady up top, and now he's got to cut through one more. 14 seconds left, and it's going to be red. Will he be able to find him? Priestley! Oh, Priestley bails St. Clair out of a 1v4.
Oh, it's that little ditch that's over there, Austin. I don't even know what even is this over here. It's just a random staircase that leads into a wall. Who's walking up and down that staircase for this tennis court? This is a weird embassy. Regardless, oh, I was really nervous there for St. Clair. Bing was about to get the ye old 1v4 and isolating everybody that he possibly could find. But you shut down Brandon for the streaks. You don't have to worry about at least a precision airstrike or a cruise missile. Sure. But even more so than that, almost had the complete read to be able to clutch up that round. Very, very nail-bitey was that previous offense for Northwood. But here come the Saints. We've seen this in their previous match, Austin. They love the slow roll.
They do, and, well, Infinite might actually bite. Does have a nice little off angle if anyone decides to push through here, but he's also pretty exposed. So we'll see if the play ends up working out. If he finds Brandon, it's the bomb. Brandon, oh, that's a nice little off angle there. Ends up just slow peeking it back and forth, reads it, and we'll take it out Infinite. And now that's a lot of your defensive control lost here on B site.
It's like you were saying, exposed. There was nobody top AC to overwatch Infinite's play. Now 4v3. And the Saints know that they have to go off of that pick. They have no idea where these players are located at. Being slowly working their way up the staircase to get AC in their favor. Priestley just saw that door open. So at least you know where one player potentially is located at. But K-Top just waiting for the go button to bust through that door like a Kool-Aid man and potentially take down Brandon.
Oh, Dak finds him. Not sure where Dak gets that shot off from, but he's going to read the second with the pistol. Priestley, ring around the rosy, tracks him down. Dak makes the big play. And now that first blood that went over to St. Clair, completely gone. 3v2 here for Northwood.
Oh, they know that they're pinched as well. Realize needs to make a play happen up top of the Fastnap. He will find one, but needs to find more. Hit markers are not going to be good enough. Northwood more than obliged to play the slow roll affair that was St. Clair on that offensive attempt. I mean, albeit some weird interactions from Infinite not having any help up close where they were over by that Planters box. Could have been a very easy trade onto Brandon, so long as one player was top AC, but it seemed like that Dak, in that moment of time, completely gave up that area, went to go watch that A lane with the cross and the sniper rifle, and then completely flipped the map. He was over by P2, and then got inside of PD for that very, very long angle on towards the BS&D, Austin. That's where that shot came from to stop Brandon from getting that plant down. Even a fair here in round number 5.
Sure did. Dak with the scope. Smoke's going to stop him from really being able to do anything here off the rip. So he's trying to find a little angle in the smoke to look, but won't be needed. Bomb still goes down here, and now St. Clair are going to have to play retake very quick.
You got the sniper over watching it, too. They do find at least one kill. Second smoke in play. Middle of the map at least being taken into account here for the Saints. And, well, Infinite's having himself a little bit of a rave over here. This is a great timing to find for themselves, but can't take down Brandon. What a fumble.
Oh, Dak able to find one. Bomb check is good, but the nades, the stuns, oh, he's not in a great position. And, well, you need Realize to come up with maybe two, at least one, and there it is. What a retake. Beautifully done. But, man, oh, man, you thought for a second something special could have happened up top.
Well, look, I mean, you know, this round 100% goes differently so long as, you know, Infinite out of that rave smoke was able to at least find that kill on a Brandon. But, hey, that's, I guess, one value to that staircase that leads into a door and a wall, I suppose, is that you can completely just lay back down in your belly, hide that hitbox, and pounce back up with the M4 and completely rip anybody ablaze. So, wonderful retake, as you were saying there, off the quick plant that Northwood had offered to the Saints there on the BS&D side. They made sure that they got AC in the middle of the map in their favor before fully executing inside of the office where Dak was located at. It really feels like that the Saints at this point in time are just trying to fish around with the information trade, Austin, to see where Dak is located at in their offensive attempt here for round number 6. Thought about an A push, saw Dak was over there. We're going over B, 100%.
Just got the little shoulder peek. As soon as you see that glint, you're like, nope. It's a real fast 180 turn over to the other side. But here we go. Priestley, this is where he was so deadly the first time around there in that winter semifinal. Hasn't found as much success this time, and I think is certainly willing to take the battle with him up top. If you want to fight, let's fight. But smokes will go down. Bomb still yet to cross here. This is something, again, like you touched on, we see a lot, but Dak, oh, he's on the flank, and he'll be punished. That's the sniper player out of the picture, and maybe now A-Site could be attacked.
Oh, Infinite needs to collapse on this. Sees the next one over by the head glitch. Brandon will take down a weak Infinite. 3v2 we go. Dead silence being popped here for K-Top, waiting for the sound to fully dissipate, but Brandon has already worked his way over towards the AS&D, and Big and K-Top are very isolated from one another.
Oh, maybe a double challenge to the back here. They'll find Bink, but that should be information for K-Top that both are in the back. The problem here, he has the Vaznef to try to work with, and not going to be easy. Blaze, you can see him through the wall going up and down, pulling off the Celium, and, well, not even going to be needed, as it's going to be the quick kill up front, and that will be a nice round coming in. St. Clair able to pull ahead by 2.
Pulling off the Celium. Yeah, yeah, you saw it right there, yeah.
I mean, we saw it.
Whatever it takes.
Right, whatever it takes, baby, whatever it takes.
Hey, you can do it too. Phase up. 2-round lead here for the Saints out of St. Clair. Just really doing a great job at maneuvering all the fixtures here of Embassy. I mean, once Dak went down, that was the green light for the Saints just to completely assault the AS&D. Brandon on 6 in a row, by the way, was able to get themselves the precision. One more kill will get themselves that SAE, like Priestley did in the first series. I guess it's Brandon's turn, eh?
Smoke's going to come through. But Brandon's not going to hit this. As you said, playing for the streak is everything here, so even if you got to give up a round, it's good. But Brandon, oh, tries to make a move for it and will not be able to find the 1 versus 1. And now, of course, realized here 1v4. You've almost seen 2 1v4s in the day. It's come down to the final kill. We'll see what he's going to be able to try to work through.
Shots coming through already. No dead silence charge. He has attack 56. In long range, yeah, this thing is a beam, but the moment that you get that 1 kill, the trade's soon to follow. Northwood answered back, and I would say more or less off a gifted round. I mean, Brandon, like we were talking about, was just trying to play for that SAE, but the moment that they got 1 player weak over on the tennis court, Box Heady, he just immediately tried to ego challenge and get that last kill, knowing that the round was probably going to fall by the wayside, and Northwood bring this within 1.
We've just about all been there. You know, he's weak. He's like, I just need 1 more. You're just like, I'm just going to get this kill. If I get traded, it doesn't matter. And
yeah,
fortunate teammate, it's just right there, right? Just like, where did this guy come from, man? Unfortunate, but St. Clair still going to be in a solid spot up by a round. And, well, their offenses have been very methodical, but this one is, oh, this is not a frag grenade that you like to see. It's going to bounce back, but doesn't take up anyone. The trades go back and forth. K-Top comes out, gets a quick kill, escapes with his life, shuts that door. And already, a lot of numbers going to be completely taken away as we drop into a 2v2.
Realize popping Deddy here with attack 56. Again, this thing is a slow AR to be working with, but it'll rip you ablaze by range. Realize, feeling that they have to push up forward, still has both of their throwables with them, but that silence runs out.
There it is. Easy pickup. Oh, he reads K-Top inside. Early pre-fire. K-Top does have the bomb still close to him, so this is a very manageable round. The dead silence not going to be available, but I think he hears one out back. He's going to take some shots. He'll connect. But the quick trade might just come in. Oh, he's searching. He's just right underneath. Oh, K-Top! How do you pull off that 1v2?
You want to talk about a young buck stepping up to the plate and knocking it out. Oh, he even got the reload off too, Austin? Oh, Priestley, he's going to watch his final kill and just be absolutely frustrated. I mean, K-Top goes prone on that staircase, completely hides their entire hitbox. Oh, and Priestley had no idea. Evened up there at the end of round number 8. And K-Top is actually working up to a little bit of a streak themselves, up on 5 in a row. Very close to getting that cruise missile in Northwood's favor.
Ooh, all right. Both teams finding back-to-back rounds, and now realized, oh, the stun's going to lock him up. They're going to know he's in the smoke somewhere. It's going to be too easy to try to work out of this position, so he's just going to tuck himself away. But while this happens, Infinite now just has a free lane to try to drop this bomb, and it will be planted. 4v4 retake once again here for the Saints.
Look at Blaze's position inside of P2. That could manifest a little bit of a flank. Yeah, Blaze is going to make that call to start pushing up, but this is all isolated gunfights after isolated gunfights. Relays is down below the window. Infinite K-Top fine too.
Like the setup. Brandon, 13 kills, 25 seconds. That's a snap from 1 to 2 to 3. 1 is good,
Woo!
But he knows he can't take the challenge from far away, and so that should be the round here for Northwood, and it will be. Bink will make sure he grabs the final kill, shut down Brandon, but 3 rounds in a row. Feels like the Timberwolves starting to really figure things out here on this map.
Yeah, 3 rounds on the bounce, right? I mean, it's all off the aggressive hit that happened over towards B. And look, the Saints completely gifted that push to Northwood. I mean, we haven't seen that aggressive push and a handful of rounds from Northwood specifically to such a fast pace. But when it starts to come all the way through, everybody from the Saints just nowhere to be found. You had one player, I believe it was Relays, over by the toilet window. And you also had Blaze pushed up over by P2. The moment that they tried to set up the flank, the bomb is planted, and the post plant was just that much better.
Sure was. But now, backs up against the wall. Saints need to strike back. And, well, they try to do it with some early aggression, but no trade comes on to Infinite right away. Priestley going to try to work some angles here. He's still yet to really get involved on this map like he did last time. Just 2 kills to his name. This would be great if you could find some kind of an opener, because everything's going to likely slow down here, and you can just see the map control that's coming out here for Northwood. Very willing to maybe even let this bomb go down and potentially play a retake, but you got to get across somehow before that even happens.
And that cross is being looked at. Look at Dak's position. Just annoying over here with the sniper rifle. I mean, anybody chows out on the backside of P2, anybody crosses that mid lane, Infinite's going to see it, Dak's going to snap on him. Realize that might have to make the play here through the window, but the second that he pops out, Dak's going to see him cross. That information should be conveyed, but Dak still snaps onto the first, the second soon to follow. Northwood, 4 rounds in a row. We'll take a 2-0 lead in the series.
Wow, 4 rounds straight after what was looking like a very convincing map there for St. Clair. Just a lot of big plays, mainly from what we got out of Brandon this time around, but just not seeing the same involvement, it feels like, across the board. And because of it, Northwood obviously able to take full advantage of it, as every single player was very much involved in every play. But 4 rounds will, of course, equal 6-4 win. And, well, that's also going to put them 2-0 up here, Andy.
I mean, your heart does have to beat a certain BPM there for Brandon, who drops an absolute bombshell of the game. The majority of that actually being done with the Vaznev 9K, which is not easy to do on a map like Embassy, but Brandon was certainly having his way. It just comes down, in that round number 10 specifically for the offense for the Saints, just a little bit of mistiming. We know that they love that smoke to cross the ramp peak, but the moment that that smoke fully does blossom, up top, if you're Priestley, you're actually being cut off from the smoke itself to look at top AC. And it was at that moment Brandon already pushed over towards the B bomb to try to get that plant going, but no one was overwatching top AC. Priestley couldn't even see it from the top PD window. And then Brandon was more or less hung out to dry. Maybe a frustration offensive round coming through from St. Clair, but now they have to somehow put together and manifest a reverse sweep.
They will have to do exactly that. We'll take one more look back on the scoreboard here. And, yeah, 14 kills for Brandon, 11 of those not traded, which is, I mean, extremely impressive for Search and Destroy with a sub on Embassy of all maps. doing it with a sub is just absolutely out of this world, but just not getting those same kind of control picks, through top AC, like Priestley was just so easily working, it felt like the last time around, doing a really good job working around him from the Northwood side. And as I already said, I mean, everyone was just involved. Bink puts up 11 kills, 1,300 damage there for him, and a couple of the big clutches also coming in. I mean, I think that's what makes this one hurt a little bit more for the Saints, Andy, is the fact that there were a lot of 1v2s or a lot of moments where you feel like they should have had the round, but just not able to clutch up in some of those scenarios.
The biggest difference, walking away from that point alone of what you were just talking about, Austin, by the way, Bink, about 1,400 damage, 11 and 6 casual stuff. What the heck? But even more so than that, in those 1v situations, when Northwood were those players that were left in a 2v1 comparatively to the Saints were a lot more susceptible to isolating themselves comparatively to Northwood. There was maybe one round when the bomb was planted over by A that you got to see, K-Top trying to work their way underneath the parking lot awning and got completely eviscerated by two players looking at the same point of crossing. But outside of that, I mean, the Saints in those 2v multiple situations just need to do a better job going forward in their search and destroys, making sure that they do couple up together and maybe put themselves in a better position to be in a tradable position is what I like to call it there in those 2v odds.
Yeah, absolutely. But coming up next, we are, of course, going to have another hard point. There's no control just yet. So we're going to have another chance to see if, in fact, Saints can get themselves a map win. And we even go back to, the first hard point. And I feel like the scoreline, doesn't really represent it too well. But I mean, there was a point in time where the Saints did have, about a 40, 50 point lead. They were still breaking into that P3 area that we always talk about that is so difficult to do on Fortress. And now it's seeing if they can kind of go back to what was working really well for them on Hotel. Their rotations, their setups, everything looked like it was really on point. It's just a matter of trying to maintain that lead if they're able to get it at some point in time, I feel like, during this map.
Yeah, not to mention how the St. Clair Saints, they beat the Mox out of UTC just by 16 points, but they outslayed them by a solid maybe like 15 kills, maybe more or less there. But even beyond that, it's going to be hard, I will say that much, for St. Clair to get away with such highway robbery when it comes down to their gunfights, right? Because they were exploiting the certain avenues of fixtures when it came down to Breenberg Hotel, working their way through the middle of the map of the atrium, getting bedroom in their favor, being an absolute nuisance, breaking the top garage hardpoint of P6. All of that is probably going to be played on a very thin amount of ice when it comes to St. Clair, because this is Northwood that we're talking about. This is a very polished team, maybe not as a cohesive four, but as individuals as a whole, making sure that the flanks are being looked at, making sure that certain points of ingress are always at the forefront of their minds when it comes down to these rotations, these setups, no matter the hill.
Yeah, I mean, it was just impressive just to kind of watch over like those small little plays that we love to talk about, where it's like, I think you hit on P2, where you just wait that extra second for the new hill to pop so that you can spawn those guys out. We got to see that play from Dak when he was able to flank through the back, and it really did feel like, whenever a call was made, you could see everybody on the map kind of shift and completely play off one another, and you had really hit on the crossfires that they did such an excellent job on. So it's kind of recognizing that on the fly and trying to adapt, especially when you're going through, a second set of hills, and trying to see if you can fix up your mistakes on what was going wrong kind of the first set through. But either way, not going to be easy to do whatsoever. I mean, this is the team, right, that you are trying to gun for, trying to beat here in our launch tournament here for MW2 at CCL. So it's going to be a fun one without a doubt. But hey, man, if there's a team that could certainly still work their way back in, I know it's this squad. I'm sure that their head coach right now giving them a good pep talk, giving them a good little vocal speech, trying to rally them together, trying to see if they can do it, because they've been so close in so many situations. We just got to see them potentially close one and then maybe build off that confidence from there.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's certainly one thing that the Saints do have for an entire team here, specifically in this launch tournament. I don't know how many other squadrons that are in this tournament that are still alive that have the same facility that St. Clair are currently playing with. I mean, they're all together in that facility when it comes to management, coaches, advisors, whatever may have you when it comes down to their esports club. And, they're all inside that same venue, so they can really, detach themselves from the computer, if you will. I know you can relate to this, being a former competitor yourself, Austin, is that being able to detach yourself from very close maps back to back to where you might have been able to win it with a certain lead that you had, and just to fully regain, because that's really all you have coming into this map number 3. This is going to be a big hotel map number 3 for St. Clair, to see where their composure is located at, to see if they can fully bounce back and maybe even try to force out a map 4.
We'll see if they can do it here. I think we're just getting ready to load into this map, and we'll see if they can, in fact, pull off something special, any kind of reverse sweep in the winner's final to get yourself into a grand final. I mean, that'd be a hell of a way for the Saints to entry into this launch tournament, and would only just absolutely just send them through the roof if able to do so. But you got to take it map by map, hard point by hard point here. And most of all, you need everybody to get involved. You can't just have a one-man show. It can't just be Priestley. Can't just be Brandon. Can't be Realized. It can't be Blaze. We need everybody to contribute, and we'll see if they can do it. Here we go. Map number 3. We'll see if it ends here or if we're going at least one more.
A little High School Musical stuck in my head now. We're all in this together. Come on, St. Clair Saints. We gotta get it going together, but it's Northwood off the rip that just, they do it a little bit better. You know, infinite for 2. You know, Bink ends up finding another one as well. They get top bedroom in their favor, and, well, Atrium is just soaking up so much time. I mean, Bink is not getting chowed out. This is just the freest 22 seconds off of P1 I've ever seen.
Oh, the timing there is actually going to get the best of Infinite. And now we'll see if it can actually manifest into anything around the point, because Northwood are very happy to collect a lot of this time. So this is a little bit risky here for St. Clair. They're saying, all right, maybe we'll send Brandon to try to contest the time. That doesn't end up working out. So now you have to be perfect here in the back, or this can get out of hand very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, they completely concede the entire bar area. They say, hey, you want to play for the P2 side? We're going to get 45 points off of P1 for crying out loud. And it's not like they're spotting too far out, right? I mean, they're spotting in the restaurant, and they're able to get clock back in their favor. They know the first point of contact needs to be for these spawns in the back alley.
Well, Infinite trying to take on the world back here, but Brandon will be able to find 2. Here we go. Dob with the entry. Does connect with the first one. Stuns nades now flying on out. Trophy systems also available, and you get to take a small breath here if you're St. Clair, but can they defend the second push?
Mostly going to be coming through the clock doorway as well. This is very one-dimensional. K-Top needs to fly with the Vaznev over by the desk. Now, we'll find one, couple that with Bink. That's 2. There's the collapse soon to follow, but the close spawn's very much so intact for the Saints.
Looking solid here for Northwood to potentially contest some more of this time, but now Scrap, I think, should be picked up. It's a 5 spree for Brandon. He's the one that's coming to life again, trying to see if they can make something happen. But even with the early rotation, you only feel like they get, what, like a good 30 seconds? Not terrible whatsoever, but it's a matter of now making your way across the map, and one of the more controlled money hills you feel like here, as Northwood are in a prime position.
You get the cruise missile, though. That might just be a really good resource when it comes down to potentially breaking P6, but Hotel is right up there with El Asilo. The very, very difficult to find value with streaks on this map in particular. But it's Northwood again with the rotation inside a kitchen. I mean, look at the minimap. Dak is playing so far back, just watching all these players entering through the backside of the kitchen.
Trade needs to be there, but no, K-Top finds both of them, despite being tagged up heavily. He gets 3 off screen. And now Priestley is going to have to hold his position. Teammates coming off spawn. Everyone looking to flood through the restaurant. But they're going to have to win some key gunfights. Northwood have been perfect so far with the first 40. Dak has just found 2 more. Bink gets the 3rd. And oh my goodness, whenever Northwood are set up in a hill first, they are just locking in time.
Yeah, they sure are. Dak's going to soak up the back 10 seconds as well. We're about to have about a 100-point lead going in towards P4. And all of those gunfights, the Saints were throwing at Northwood through the middle of the map over in the Atrium. It actually allowed Northwood to spawn in effectively for P4, but the returning gunfights that much better. St. Clair will be in for the initial time.
Infinite. Just trying to wait for that moment to collapse. Teammates hit the back. He hits the side. Bink's going to add in some great team shots there. Able to clean up all 3 of them. And now they got to read on the spawns. They have control from the front, and it's not easy to flood through these little corridors, these little doorways. It's just easy to look at once you get set up on the bar like this, and you're seeing why.
Yeah. Get desk control. That back bar area. It is Crossfire Century, to say the least. Dak, though, top, needs the trade to be there. Infinite won't be able to find it, as Relays will be able to end up taking down 2 players. So a break, crucial at that, coming through from the Saints, but they need so much more to break back into this game fully.
Yeah, Northwood's just been so good at just making them fight for even a lot of this scrap time, just never really giving anything over for free, it feels like, so far in the game. But 60-point differential. Just need 1 good hard point. In this scenario, you need 1 solid break off the rip here. Can they get through? They'll get through 1. Shots over the top, though, from Realized and Dak are here. You're going to have to find the AR before you can even see the hard point. And, well, trophy systems galore have been thrown out left and right, but it's still Northwood that are maintaining control, keeping them at bay.
Even Dak, I mean, the mechanical skill takes down the trophy. Semtech soon to follow. That space created, but it's Blaz in the backside of concessions that will at least find that kill. A consolation kill is what I'm going to call it, Austin. Because although the Saints are finding all of these kills, finding some semblance of trades, they're not finding them around the hard point, not effectively finding these kills in and around the hill to break in for some time.
Just trying to contest what they can at the moment. But good team shots over the right shoulder. Priestley will be good for scrap time, but that's really all the Saints have been allowed to have, the scrap time. Now the rotation. You need a big play off screen right now for Blaze. He's already across the map. His teammates are going to be able to potentially flood over there quite quickly as Brandon finds one in the back. K-Top, he's just been the man on the hill. A minute to his name so far. He's posted up again, and now he's got a read in the back. Realize will end up going down. K-Top just trying to play his life.
Yeah, good collapse coming through yet again for the Saints. I mean, their breaks over towards P6 are that of what we saw in that map number 1 versus UT Chattanooga. But still, I mean, you can win the upcoming gunfights, but you have to win the returning gunfights as well, because I mean, Northwood, they're spawning very, very close towards this hard point. The pinch is fully on in for the Saints. They will be able to break in. Still 30 seconds left to soak up here in the final hill of our first set.
You need this time for the Saints. You need this time desperately, and Blaze, he's going to be the last one here to defend it. Everybody knows just, hey, listen, this is a big 20 seconds right now for us. We already had 168 points, but Blaze, can he hold? Oh, he will hold the line. What a big moment. The Saints absolutely needed that. Finally able to collect. Solid time off of a hard point. Now a fast track to do. Dak is going to be able to take out Realize with the pistol. He's set up, but Priestley will be able to find 2. Great work being done in around P1 early.
It couches controls everything here for the Saints, trying to string together P6 going in towards a new set of hard points. They're also getting spawns on the south side of the map over by the offices. So these gunfights need to be on point. They are crucial. Realize we'll end up taking down 2 more players. Dak Bink completely wiped away from the map. 20 seconds gone here on our first hard point in the second set. And the Saints seemingly coming to life.
We haven't got that same performance from Priestley just yet, but he was just on 4. Blaze right behind him on 4, but Dak's just going to pick them apart. Key shots coming out. Dak just picks them apart. Are you kidding me? 3 players all dropped down, and now still playing catch up here. Not going to be easy. Rotation being 1. P1 time going over. This is a very scary spot right now here for the Saints.
Yeah, especially when you're taking a look at the mini-map entirely. If you blow it up, I mean, this is complete and utter control from the P1 to P2 rotation for Northwood. They'll actually be putting themselves just in striking distance to be over 200 points itself, and they're finding transitional kills in and around the bar. Now you know, hey, we're not seeing any stray bullets coming through from the atrium. This is all coming through concessions.
Man, you're quite literally looking at 2 of the best ARs right now in Collegiate. This is just insane from Dak, insane from Bink. They're just getting their SMGs into great positions, and you're seeing why Brandon's going to start to call out some of these desperation streaks to try to get them spawns, maybe break into the hill, but it's not going to find anything. And while all that happens, kills are still coming through. Dak's on 4, looking for 5. Will he get 6? Oh, the team shots are just electric from these 2. Bink and Dak are taking over, and so is the score on Northwood's side. 2:30, and they could still end up closing it here, but that contest, that little neutralization will at least keep the Saints alive.
Yeah, nobody blocking the spawns for Northwood because they didn't care to block the spawns going forward. You're down sub 20 seconds in P2, so you just completely chalk it. You get all the way across the atrium, get over towards the hot tub, get those close spawns going in towards P3. This very much so might be the final hill. Dak does have a precision airstrike, and the setup is in here. Infinite is kicking their feet up as their teammates find kills around the hill.
Here we go. 240 to 133. St. Clair running out of gas in the tank, but Northwood pedal to the metal. 5 more seconds for the win. 2 more kills coming in, and it's gonna be a wipe. Northwood Esports, they will be good for a 3-0 here in the winners final.
It's just absurd to say that. You know, there is that upper echelon of play being exemplified from Northwood comparatively to St. Clair, who were outpacing and outslaying even UT Chattanooga, another team that looked very good in our first series. But look, this is, again, what we've come to expect and even talk about when it comes to Northwood as a roster. It was the same conversation we had last season when it was Bink, Infinite, Fame, and Chris Radial, but now you have Dak and K-Top that are just fitting this team like a glove around the duo ship that is both Bink and Infinite. and it is being exemplified to such a high degree. This team just seemingly cannot do any wrong when it came down to Hotel Hardpoint as a whole, fighting transitional gunfights, getting close spawns in their favor, and even when they didn't have those close spawns for big hills such as even P4, they were completely fine to concede the space. They waited for their numbers. That high level of thought process when it comes down to 4v4 Call of Duty will win you so many championships here in Modern Warfare 2.
It certainly will, and I mean, you really just can't say enough good things. A lot of close maps, especially the first time around. I think, you know, the Saints may be a little bit frustrated with how that first map goes, and that kind of bleeds into the second for us, right, Andy? I mean, they had a 4-2 advantage, you know, on Embassy. You could just see the control, but a couple of those, you know, 1v situations stopped going their way. We start to slowly see them get broken down there, and the composure, of course, on Northwood is just been absolutely lights out, and there is a reason that they've been able to win this in 3-0 fashion. We get to see a great example of it there, and they're going to the grand finals, baby. They are there. They are done for today. They now get to sit back and just watch some COD just like us. But overall, we'll take a look back over the map set here, and you can just see how they were able to dismantle this Saints squad.
You say dismantle, just fully analytically breaking down where a lot of these maps did fully swing. But, I mean, the Saints did have themselves, what was it, about like a 35, almost 40-point lead on Fortress Map 1. They had that 2-round lead on Embassy, and they were seemingly just completely just blown out of the water on Hotel. That was really the only one map, was that final hardpoint that was just like a clear-cut decision. It was like, oh, man, yeah, Northwood are just completely outslaying and outpacing the Saints out of St. Clair. But, you know, they had, obviously, those opportunities, those light cracks in the armor, if you will, for Northwood, where St. Clair were able to find themselves some semblance of an advantage. But, you know, it's just those adaptations. You and I talk about it constantly, whether it's Challengers, CDL, here at Collegiate, it's those mid-map adaptations, not even just mid-series adaptations, but mid-map adaptations to fully understand what your opponent is throwing at you, and then counteracting that, and then just running away with any hardpoint.
Absolutely. Incredible stuff there for them. Of course, the Saints will also be in that losers final, so they're still guaranteed, you know, at least top 3 here, but won't be playing at least for quite a while, and they also get to kind of look over all their opponents, because that's where we're going to next. Listen, the upper bracket, that's it. We're now going down to the lower bracket matches, where they are elimination matches, and we'll be, of course, continuing the action throughout there. Which will be a great time. But overall here, Andy, I mean, it's been a treat to watch over some of this early CCL action, and Northwood certainly picking up where they left off, you know, finishing off that last year with the win, and still looking like that solid squad and that team to beat here for all those elimination teams down there in the lower bracket.
Yeah, I never want to face a Timberwolf anyway. Like, I don't care if it's collegiate COD. I don't care if you actually put me face to face with a Timberwolf. I will literally scream and cry myself to sleep. But yeah, there's still a lot more teams that are left alive there in that lower bracket, like you were talking about. That Gold Mushroom Life has finally been gobbled up here for St. Clair. They will be waiting for a lot more matches to be played out before they play their next one tomorrow.
Certainly will be the case, but for now, we'll set up some of those lower bracket matches, and we'll be right back after the break. Don't go too far.